Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to the library. Welcome back to another video. Really quickly, you have to see my shirt. Can you read this? It says, I'm not an early bird or a night owl. I'm some form of permanently exhausted pigeon. I love it so much. Anyway, this is my September wrap up. I actually managed to read 9 books this month. It was a great reading month for me in numbers, not in star ratings, because my average star rating was 3.1. That was really bad. I actually gave 2 books this month 2 stars, which is like terrible. Usually I DNF 2 stars, but I had another 5-star read, which if you saw my horror reading vlog, you know what it is. And it's crazy because why would I give a horror book 5 stars? That would like never happen. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, 2 5-star books this year, Library at Mount Char and the one I'm about to show you. So let's just get into it. The first book I read was Bad Gods by Gay Sibold. It's an adult fantasy. I think it's like a collection of other stories like that were published separately before under the name like Babylon Steel, because that's the main character's name. And because it sounded like basically a higher stakes version of Legends and Lattes is kind of what I gathered. But it was so boring. I honestly didn't care about anything that was happening. Sometimes it felt like nothing was happening, and then sometimes it felt like too much was happening. So I'm not really sure what I think about that. But anyway, it was definitely not for me, and I don't know if I'd ever try anything again from this author. Then I did some books for my horror reading vlog, and I read Asylum, so I'm not going to go too much into this because if you saw my reading vlog, you already know. But I also only gave this, did I give it 3 stars? It should really be more like 2.5 stars on retrospect when thinking about it now. This book was more of a mystery than a horror, which was fine because I actually kind of enjoyed the mystery part of it. It's just the solution to the mystery is so stupid. And it comes, I mean, it's not that it's even stupid. It's just that it comes out of the blue and then they never talk about it again. And it's something crazy. If that had been something that truly happened in real life, I feel like people would be talking about it. So it was just like, oh yeah, by the way, it was this, the end. And you're like, wait, what? That's crazy. So there's a series and I will definitely not be continuing. Oh, and also it reads really young, so I think I said I'd recommend this to like even middle school students, but definitely just probably freshmen. Then I read Halloween Party by Agatha Christie, which I also just really disliked, and I gave it 2 stars. I think I read it in like 1 day though, so I mean, it was because it's really fast to read. But here's what I've come to realize since. The audiobook was only an hour long, and I was like, I guess it's just really short. You know, it's like a little novella or even a short story that somehow the movie A Haunting in Venice is based on, which is why I wanted to read it because I really wanted to see the movie, which I still have not seen. But anyway, when I looked it up, it says it's 185 pages. And I was like, how is it 185 pages when the audiobook was only an hour long? That doesn't really make any sense. Usually the audiobook is like more than a page per minute because, you know, they read pretty slowly and I speed it up, but still, I've come to realize since that apparently the audio version I listened to, it was read like as if it were a play. And it was different, like actors and different characters like talk. It was just dialogue. Like there was nothing besides dialogue. There was no description. And I thought that that's how the book was written, but I think I'm wrong. I think I've listened to some like strange audio book version that my library had on Libby, but it's not really like the full story. So no wonder I couldn't solve it. Like it was literally not solvable. And also I think I was listening to it on too fast a speed and I was too distracted. So in Agatha Christie's defense, it was probably partially my fault why I did not enjoy this book. Now, I read my 5-star book, A God in the Shed, yay. Like I said, it might be technically like 4.75 or something, but we're rounding it up because I loved it. I've still not read the sequel, and it's been like weeks, almost a month since I finished this book. And I've got to get to the sequel. Oh, and I just realized, I've never noticed this before. It says now in development for television, so I'm going to look that up and see if that's true. Anyway, J.F. Dubois is the author, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I already went into it in my horror reading vlog, but let's just say that I never thought I could be into horror, but I absolutely loved this. To me, this was a combination. It reminded me so much. It gave me vibes of Library at Mount Char, I think because of the detective and like the different storylines and different points of view and things like that, and just kind of the weirdness of it all. But also it reminded me of I Hunt Killers by Barry Lyga, which is another 5-star book that I really enjoy. So if you like either of those 2 books, like just give this one a shot. Yes, there's a little bit of gory stuff in it, but it's nothing too crazy. And it's not actually very scary. So I absolutely loved A God in the Shed and highly recommend that one. Then I had a physical copy of the next book, but I really didn't like it that much, so I went ahead and gave it away. I sold it at Half Price Books, and that was The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. That's also in my horror reading vlog, so I'm not going to say too much. I wound up giving it 3 stars. It's not very scary. The tone of it leads it to just be more kind of just funny than scary. And if you like that, like kind of very campy sort of horror, you would probably enjoy this one. I think I like Grady Hendrix better when it comes to horror. Like, I really liked My Best Friend's Exorcism and even A Southern Guide, Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and even Horror Store I enjoyed. But T. Kingfisher, I really love her writing style. Like, it's so easy to read, and it's just, her characters are always kind of witty. And I really liked it better when it was her fantasy books, like what's it called? Oh gosh, I forgot. A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, but Nettle and Bone especially was my favorite. I realize now how many books I've read by this author. It's like a lot. Anyway, I read, let's see, the Hollow Places, I think is what it's called. And I didn't really enjoy it either. So I don't really think that horror is for me when it comes to this author. It's just, it wasn't about twisted ones. And like the picture that was on the front cover of the audiobook version of this led me to believe that the twisted ones were going to be these like tall, long, like Slender Man type figures. And they're not. That just doesn't happen in the book. So it just wasn't really that scary. Then I read another thriller or mystery thriller, whatever, Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I've since realized that I might have even disliked this more than I thought. I think I gave it 3 stars, yeah, but I could see where I would even give it possibly 2.5 because it was so long and I just felt like not enough was happening. And then all of a sudden the ending was just like, oh, and by the way, here's the actual answer to the mystery, done. And it's just like, it just sort of fizzled out. I feel like it was building up to almost nothing. And like there didn't even seem to be that much build up. I don't even know how to describe it. But I've since read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and you're gonna see that in my October wrap up. It's like the 5 times better version of this book. It's so similar. There are so many similarities, and I would highly, highly recommend Home Before Dark. I gave it like 4.5 stars. It was wonderful compared to this one. But like I said, super, super similar, but this was definitely not for me. And it's not that I didn't like her writing style. I actually didn't mind it. Like, it was easy to follow. Like I said, it was just more the plot. So maybe I will try another book in another video by Ruth Ware. Maybe I'll wait till next year and do another one like at Halloween time. And then I read Rapsodic, which I've actually been in the middle of for like 3 months. So it's hard for you to remember like all of the stuff about this book, but it's by Laura Thalassa. This is an adult or new adult maybe fantasy romance. And I'm going to actually do a video very soon about my journey in reading fantasy romance, because I've read like 5 or 6 fantasy romance in the last few months. And I just kind of want to do a recap of which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like, if I can figure out like why I liked them, what my tastes are, because usually I feel like I don't like fantasy romance. Most of them I don't, especially young adult or even maybe the new adult ones. But this was really good. I learned about this from Becca in the books. I think she likes like dark romances and stuff, so I thought this was gonna be pretty dark, and it was a little dark, but this is a series. I think there's 3, and then there's like some side stories too, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. Like, the romance part was fun. The world building was fun. It kind of reminded me of like Sarah J. Maas, like the Night Court and, you know, things like that from ACOTAR. It was kind of similar to that. But anyway, if you like fantasy romance and you've not heard of Rapsodic, you should definitely give it a shot. It's also free on, is it the Kindle store? I think so. I got it free somewhere, or Hoopla. I can't remember. Anyway, I read it for free online, which was great. 2 more to go. The next one was a big disappointment, and it was Death by Chocolate Chip Cupcake by Sarah Graves, which is an adult mystery novel in a series. And I think that was my problem, is that you clearly needed to have understood some stuff that happened in the rest of the series. I think this is book like 5 maybe. They're all like death by something dessert related, usually chocolate related. And I just didn't know anything about these characters or the plot that had happened previously. So, I mean, yeah, I'm thinking you're supposed to be able to read them separately, but it did not work. I actually really, really dislike this, because kind of like what I said earlier with another book, is that sometimes it felt like nothing was happening, and then sometimes it felt like stuff was just happening randomly and like really quickly. I was like, wait, why is this happening? Why is this scene even happening? Like, what is going on? Why are they doing this? Where'd this come from? It just felt very, like, it just jumped around. And once again, maybe it's my fault for not reading the rest of the series, but I gave it 2 stars. The final book I read was actually a pretty good success, and I think I only read it, it only took like 2 days to read it because it was pretty short, and that is a nonfiction book called 4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. And this is, like I said, adult nonfiction, came out in 2021, so it's pretty new. It does even reference the pandemic in it. Obviously, it's not even like really about the pandemic though, but I know somebody at another school who I recently friended on Goodreads, and I saw that she had read it and she also gave it 4 stars. And I was like, hey, I like nonfiction every now and then. Let's go for a 4-star nonfiction. And turns out this is a 4-star nonfiction. I think the only reason it's not 5 stars is because there was just nothing like fascinating about it. There was nothing new that I didn't already know. It was just very reaffirming to hear that, like, here's how you could manage your life. And it's not just like little time management stuff. It's big time management stuff, like for your entire entire life. And so just kind of realized like you don't need to feel guilty about not using every minute to do certain things. And especially like when you have a kid, he does mention like having, I think he had 2 kids as well. So he mentions kind of like how to deal with time management when you also have kids. And so anyway, I just really, really enjoyed it, and I recommend it just as a good read. So those are the 3,100 pages I read in the month of September. I also DNF'd some other pages, so that's sad. It doesn't even count towards my total. But I'm going to do a whole new video very soon about my DNFs for like the last 6 months, because it's been forever since I made a DNF video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and if you plan on reading A God in the Shed, because I told you to. Anyway, I will talk to you guys again later. Bye.